No. Yes, I'm finally getting to this. Harriet the Spy. I recorded to be Tuesday already. It's up on the channel. Gonna go out tomorrow, 8 a.m. as usual. But I figure I'd do this one today for Monday. Because I said I was gonna do it next. So we're looking at Harriet the Spy. And Okay. Now, I didn't hate this movie, but I do have some problems with it. Namely, so we'll get to the problems I have with this movie. So this was big back in the day, back in 95, 96 when this came out, right? It was all over the place. Rosie O'Donnell, Michelle Trachtenberg, they were all over the place because they were in this movie. And, Rosie O'Donnell, she was big on Nickelodeon there for a while. Until, she was like a host for like 5 years in a row of the Kids' Choice Awards. Until she came out. I'm not saying that hurt her problems, but she had a talk show. And she was on Nickelodeon. And then she came out. She said, "I'm a dyke." And she said that. So don't go after me. I don't use that kind of... But she said that. That's how she came out. She was on stage doing a show. And she said that. That's what she said. So you can't get mad at me. I won't say it again. Because I only said it once. But she said that. And like her show... Her talk show that my mom used to watch all the time, I watched with her, was gone. Right? And then she stopped being the host. And nowadays, if they did that, you would get canceled for doing that. And I'm surprised, and you could say, oh, that was years and years and years ago. Look at all the bullshit that comes up after years and years, of being out there. And people are fired from their jobs for something they have said or done many years ago and should be left in the past. Yet people nowadays are ready to cancel it, and yet Nickelodeon or maybe the talk show, maybe it's not even that. Maybe that's not even why she was fired. But I just know that around the time she came out, she wasn't on Nickelodeon anymore, and she didn't have her talk show anymore. It may be a coincidence, but it all seemed to just be too coincidental. Anyway, moving on from that. And that's one of the things. It's not really a negative, but it's kind of a nitpick. It's that the trailers and all the advertisements for this showed the two characters, Harriet and Golly. And Golly is barely in this. She's in the beginning, she's towards the end, and that's it. And I was like, I watched this when it came out on VHS back in the day. I watched it once on Netflix a few years ago. I never finished it. I don't know why. But here I am watching it now at almost 35 years of age. And there are some problems with this. Namely, the biggest problem I have is that everyone in this movie thinks Harriet is in the wrong when she's not. Sure, she wrote those things about her friends and her classmates, but they had no fucking business reading that notebook. A notebook is your personal property, and yet none of the kids, none of the people reading it get in trouble for doing it. She gets all the flack, right? She gets all the flack. She gets her notebooks taken away from her, and she is the one who has to be put into counseling and has to have strict rules about her when it's not her fucking fault. Not completely. Yes, like I said, she wrote those things. That's her personal notebook. No one but her should be reading that. Whatever you write about someone in a personal notebook, a personal diary, personal journal, that's yours, not anyone else's. And yet no one else but her gets in trouble in this movie. And that's a big problem. So what's the story here? The story is Harriet. She's a spy. She goes around. She writes in her journal. She climbs into people's houses, whatever. Yes, she does all this stuff, whatever. Writes stuff about people and puts them in a little notebook. Technically, there isn't really much spying going on in here. I mean, she does. She spies on Eartha Kitt. She spies on the guy who was in the Zack Man episode of the Zack Files. She spies on this Chinese food restaurant. That stuff. But other than that, it's not really big on spy stuff. Like, I always thought there was a mystery in this because it's spy, you know, but there is no mystery. It's just about Harriet. It's like My Girl, but with less Macaulay Culkin and less dead people because it's not a mortician. Harriet, sweet Harriet. No, anyway, Harriet is part of a well-to-do family. Her parents are rich. She has this nanny, or live-in nanny, whatever, named Golly. Or her name is Catherine, I think. Played by Rosie O'Donnell. And, you know, it's that sort of thing you see. It's like Mary Poppins, but she's not magical. It's, you know, the live-in nanny you see in all of those kind of movies with rich people and kids, like that. And one night, Golly invites a friend of hers, played by Mr. Mortman from Goosebumps, or you may know Animorphs as Mr. Trent, Mr. Victor Trent, aka Visser 3. And he's a good guy here. And his suggestion, they go out to dinner and a movie. And they come back a little late, and the parents freak out and they fire Golly. But regret it right away and decide that they want to rehire her. But Golly says, no, you know, Harriet's old enough. And you should, you know, she should be able to deal with things on her own. So she leaves. And after watching this movie, this is lazy writing. She has to be fired because if she's there for the events of the movie, she can talk to Harriet and solve her problem in like 5 minutes. And if she's there, there's no movie. So she gets fired, and even though they want her to stay, she still decides she has to leave because it's best for Harriet, which as soon as she leaves, everything goes out of control, and then she comes back like 20 minutes left in the film and gives her the advice that puts her back on track with her friends and family and everything and saves the day. And yeah, it's a little bit of lazy writing, because for me, one, they were both all over the promotional materials, the trailers, the TV spots, everything back in the day. Rosie O'Donnell and Michelle Trachtenberg. Michelle Trachtenberg, she was already a Nickelodeon star because of Adventures of Pete and Pete. But they were all over the place. All over the promotional photos. And Rosie O'Donnell is in 30% of this film. She's in the beginning here. She's gone. She shows up for about 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe even like 5 minutes. To talk to Harriet. To give her advice. And then she's gone again for the rest of the film. We don't see her again. And it's like, why was she heavily advertised for this? Like, I don't know. It says Michelle Trachtenberg and Rosie O'Donnell, but that's just a little thing. I don't know. It's very weird that she's advertised for this, and yet she's barely in the movie, you know? It's like Ja Rule being on the cover of Wrong Side of Town, you know, the movie with Rob Van Dam, Batista, and he's like in one scene of the movie, I think. 1 or 2 scenes. Even Batista shouldn't be on the cover. He's in a couple scenes of that movie. Rob Van Dam is the star, you know? It's like the cover of I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Let me show you something, okay? I don't know if I mentioned this in my review. It's been a while since I did that review. Where did I put it? Here. All right. This is probably a worse example, but you see this cover of I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. This chick right here, I don't know her name because she doesn't have a name because she's in one fucking scene of the movie and is never seen again. And I don't know why she's on the cover because she's only in one scene. But it'd be like that. But Rosie O'Donnell's in more of the movie than her, and she has a name, so who knows? But yeah, so she leaves, right? As soon as she leaves, things start to go downhill. There's this girl named Marion who is a bitch. And she takes Harriet's journal and reads all the journal entries about the kids in the class, including her two friends. And on a dime, tip of the hat, flip of the coin, her friends just turn on her. And what I say about that is, if your friends are willing to turn on you because of a stupid ass comment you wrote down or said, they're not your friends. Real friends would, especially since the stuff she's saying, for the most part, is the truth. Like, the thing about Janie, calling her like an egghead or a whatever the terminology is, that's a little much. But like what she says about sports father being poor, that's the truth. You can't go after someone. You can't be mad at someone for writing the truth, man. There's bad things she says about other students, but on a dime, they turn on her and join Marion's side, even though they know that Marion is a fucking bitch and will stab them in the back to get what she wants. They don't care because they now hate Harriet because she wrote in the book about them. And this is really where the film goes for me, is that they all just turn on her. And everyone else just shits on this girl. Like, she starts having problems they start going after her. And there's even a scene where, like, they're painting, and one girl pretends to accidentally dump blue paint on her. Everyone comes up and starts spreading the paint all around her. And the teacher, oblivious as fucking hell, is like, yes, we gotta clean her up. If you pay, this teacher is the stupidest fucking teacher in the world. Clearly, they're just spreading the blue around. They're not trying to clean it. They're trying to make her all blue. And Marion even dips more on her, and this teacher is oblivious. She should be fired. And then Harriet, their names are similar. Harriet decides to get revenge, so she plots revenge on every single one of these kids, and everything that happens to these kids, they fucking deserve it, because they're fucking terrible, and they deserve everything they get. She cuts this one chick's ponytail. She, like, messes with Janie's science experiment. She turns up the heat and it bubbles over. Why Janie doesn't turn the heat back down, I don't know. I don't know what she does to sport. Something, I don't know. But she gets revenge on all of them. She even tells Marion that her father's in jail, or her father left her and doesn't want anything to do with her, which happens, you know? It happens. But it's still, everything that Harriet does, I'm on board with, because they all deserve it for turning on her. They all deserve it. And yet, Harriet takes all the flack for it. They put her in therapy. They say that she's out of control, and then she needs to go to therapy. They take her notebooks away. That's before this, but they take her notebooks away because they found out she gets caught spying on Eartha Kitt. So they take her notebooks away, and it's like, you are stunting your kid's creativity. All right, her notebooks are her way of how do you put it? She's emoting herself. She's getting out, stress reliever, right? Writing for her is a stress reliever. And wouldn't you know it, when they take the notebooks away, things get worse. And so she takes her stress, she takes all that stress and she puts it out on the rest of her classmates because they fucking deserve it. But still, she does that. And if they had let her keep her notebook, she probably would have just vented it in there and not done all this stuff, but this pushes her into doing it, you know? And, yeah, so they send her to therapy. The therapist says she's fine, which of course she is, because they're the problem. She's not. And so, yeah, she starts to, Golly comes back and gives her the advice to apologize and lie. I don't know where the lying comes in, but apologize. So she apologizes at least to the two of her friends. She apologized to everyone, including Marion, even though Marion doesn't deserve it. Most of the kids in her class could be apologized to. And really, I think the line comes in the part where she says she's sorry to these people. Like, she has to apologize to Marion. She's not sorry for that. I wouldn't be either. And look, you shouldn't have to apologize for telling the truth. All right, your parents, they raised you to tell the truth, right? You're writing the truth down in your notebook. To an extent. You should not have to apologize for writing what is the truth. I'm just saying. But she apologizes, and she gets her two friends back because they're sick of just being like, they're nothing to Marion. She just has them so she can prove that she's won. And like Marion, there's like a school pageant, and Marion makes it all about her because she's a stuck-up bitch. The hell is that? I don't know. But and then they actually show you that it sucked because it's all about her. Although I'm not exactly sure if the ending dance actually happened, or like they say that it sucked. Then there's a get off of that thing dance, followed by a stink bombs movie. That's why it sucked. But I don't know. Yeah, she gets her two friends back, and she finds out Sport's dad has a writing job, so that's good. And Janie's doing her thing, and yeah, so everything's hunky dory by the end. And we never see Rosie O'Donnell again in this movie, but yeah, the movie is fine. But it's the middle of the road because my big problem is that she apologizes to everyone, but no one ever fucking apologizes to her. She barely did anything wrong. I'm not saying that she was totally out of fault. She was at fault for some of this. But Marion took her notebook, read it out loud. That's her personal notebook. That's wrong. She should be punished for that. And reading it out. They all dumped blue paint on her. They should be punished for that. And they all mistreated her and misjudged her, saying she's acting out and she's acting different. Well, yeah, you took away her only way of venting her frustrations. You took those away. So what else is she supposed to do? Everything that Marion does is a direct consequence of what people do to her. You know? They take away her notebooks, she has to vent out her frustrations. They mistreat her, she mistreats them. It's, consequences. Consequences. If you did not take away her notebooks, there wouldn't have been those problems. Can't completely guarantee it, but it makes sense. And it all stems from Golly leaving. If she didn't leave, this movie would never happen, and that's lazy writing. But yeah, it's a middle of the road for me. Middle of the road. Middle of the road. So, what are your thoughts on Harriet the Spy? In the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.